In the 1970s, West Berlin looked set to drown in its own rubbish. The solution was in the east, or more precisely, in the parishes near Zossen. Back then, the local residents could already sense the dirt and stench that would descend on them in 1975. In 1974, we had the longest German local council meeting ever, from 7 in the evening till 2:30 in the morning. We wanted to overturn the resolution approving the site. It had been pushed through by the district council and the local council. There was a law which said the councils had to account for the well-being of citizens and involve them in decision-making, which hadn't happened. The long late-night meeting results in a 10-point plan, but its recommendations are also neglected. Schöneiche becomes a dump for rubbish sent from the west. In this contract, the GDR agrees to dispose of 35 million tons of municipal waste, 38 million cubic meters of construction waste, and 18 million cubic meters of excavated earth up until 1994. This contract will cost the Senate at least 1.5 billion marks. Exploratory drilling at the now redeveloped landfill site still reveals traces of the consumer waste today. Back then, it was an exciting place for many. The opening of the landfill site sparked a wave of waste tourism. There were some bits of waste that people wanted to salvage. They'd see a carpet they could still use, or an old newspaper from the West, which was still more interesting than the East German paper Neues Deutschland. So they'd take the paper and read it and pass it around, or maybe even sell it on to someone else. The funniest thing of all was when our Russian comrades in Wünsdorf cottoned on to the waste trade. The officers sent their boys off in amphibious tanks to look for porn magazines, so they could have their fun over there in Wünsdorf. The trip to the east also becomes a lucrative business for dustmen from the west. They head to Schöneiche over the Kirchhainer Damm in Berlin-Lichtenrade up to 3 times a day. But not all lorries return empty. The temptations of tax-free shopping prove too great for some. At the end of October, while checking this refuse lorry, investigators discovered a cavity in front of the crossbeam above the rear axle, concealed by sheet metal. The metal had been melded onto the bottom of the vehicle. This created an 80 by 80 by 30 centimeter chamber containing 5,000 cigarettes. After the fall of the wall, those living near Schöneiche landfill site started to voice their objections. In January 1990, they called for the immediate removal of illegally dumped toxic waste from the site. It has since been sealed and delivers around 6 million cubic meters of landfill gas to a cogeneration plant.